Ania.
What?
You're a stupid, pointless woman with no views of your own. You should never be allowed to vote for who runs the country.
That's a bit harsh, but that's exactly what it would have been like if it wasn't for women's rights protesters like Emmeline Pankhurst.
She helped force the British government into treating women as equal to men. Quite right too.
As little as 100 years ago, women's lives were very different.
It wasn't just that they didn't have the right to vote. They hardly had any rights at all.
Women were often bullied into marriage and could only get divorced if they could prove that their husbands had been very cruel.
Even then, the husband always got to keep all the money, despite the fact there were hardly any jobs that women were allowed to do. It was all very unfair. The clothes that women wore at the time were also a bit of a nightmare.
For example, these evil things.
Not the corset first.
I think it's a bit scary.
How's that going?
Well, I don't... a bit fiddly. Okay, right. This is the fun bit.
Whoa!
Oh. How do you feel?
Oh. I feel like my eyes might pop out my head.
Right, that's enough. I don't want to kill you.
It just makes me feel a bit breathless all the time. What's that?
That's your, underskirt.
Oh, it's a skirt. I thought it was like a cape.
Oh, that's quite pretty.
Oh, that is pretty.
Oh, look at this top. This is lovely.
Oh, wow.
I'd wear this.
But it is like they had no rights to vote or anything, but they also had no rights about what to wear. Like, no rights to wear anything comfortable.
I don't know how we're supposed to put these booties on for you.
Because there's like no way I can help with that.
Okay, I'll get on my hands and knees.
I love these boots. Oh, I love them, I love them. What, more bits?
Yeah, more bits.
Oh.
And then this.
I do like the hat, but again, you can't make any sharp movements because it just falls off.
Yeah. It's quite dainty and sweet.
Yeah, it's actually the one thing this outfit is good for is dancing.
What about campaigning for the suffrage cause?
Oh, brilliant. A votes for women's sash. I do like the sash, though.
It's not supposed to be a fashion item.
No, that's true.
Emmeline Pankhurst was pretty amazing. She quickly decided that it wasn't fair that men and women weren't treated as equals.
She was really determined to get the government to rewrite the rules and allow women to vote.
Emmeline Pankhurst was born Emmeline Golden in Manchester, 1858.
She grew up to be really rather pretty, with dark hair, olive skin and deep blue eyes.
Yeah, but that's not what got her noticed. What got her noticed was how clever she was.
She came from a very forward-thinking family, but she also married a man who held views that for the time were a bit unusual.
Richard Pankhurst was a lawyer and wrote an act which declared that married women were allowed to keep hold of all the property that belonged to them, rather than just give it over to their husbands.
In those days, women were expected to act in a ladylike fashion at all times.
For example, you were meant to walk like you had a book on your head.
How's that? Try it. We can.
Oh, I look a bit weird, don't I? How do you do it?
I think. Look what you do when it falls off. Come on.
Wait a second. Hang on.
It's just about posture. You've got to stick your shoulders back more and like hold your head up straight.
Fran, do you do this?
Secretly at home. Come on, try.
I feel like I look a bit like a duck.
You do look when you're just sticking your neck out.
And my butt about.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Why don't you try it?
Okay. Well, okay. Going to the shops all for a cup of tea.
See, I feel like you quite walk like that anyway.
I think I do a bit. There you go. That's not too bad.
That's what you look like normally.
Okay, they also had to walk in a very special way with parasols. First foot forward, you put the parasol down, and then you bring the parasol out for the other foot so that it misses your big skirt you'll be wearing. Yeah, no, not like that. Not like you're, not like you're like in showbiz in the West End.
I like this one. It's really look. I can do it really well. Look.
No, Ania, you don't move the brolly. The brolly, you swing round the brolly. Yes. And now move it. So you only move the parasol every other one.
It's still quite show busy though, isn't it? La da 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 la da da la da da. Not that lady.
Yeah, you don't look very ladylike at all.
You try, clever clogs.
Right, left round my skirt. Right, left.
I'm a bit bored of this now. Can we do teacups?
Oh yes. Also, to be a lady, you had to drink tea out of teacups in a very certain way.
Take some tea, lady.
Yes, thank you very much, madam.
You'd have the cup, then you'd pick it up with your finger like this.
You have to stick your finger out.
But why?
Because it balances you out. It shows that you're not using your finger to catch the drips. I literally made that up, but you know.
And sip the tea, making polite conversation. I don't think you make that sound.
Oh no?
But you talk about, have you seen the Earl of Buckingham's horse? In 1903, Emmeline formed the Women's Social and Political Union, the WSPU. Its aim was to get votes for women, and its motto was deeds, not words.
What that meant was they decided that all that stuff like making speeches and lobbying politicians wasn't going to work. Instead, they were going to make such a fuss, cause so much trouble, that people were going to have to take notice.
They were known as the suffragettes. This was a nickname given to them by the Daily Mail newspaper. It came from the word suffrage, which means the right to vote.
What the Daily Mail did was add the bit "et" to the end to make suffragette. Like calling Ania, Anuette. They kind of did it to make fun of them. Turns out the members of the group liked it so much that the name stuck. By 1905, the suffragettes were beginning to cause a bit of a stir.
Their tactics were extreme and unconventional, like tying themselves to railings where important people would see them. For example, in front of the Houses of Parliament.
March, march, swing you along, wide is the fire and hope is waking. March, march, swing you along.
What do you think you're doing, madam?
I am campaigning for the suffrage cause.
You are breaking the law.
No, I am making the law.
You should be at home fulfilling your real duty to the nation by being a good mother and wife.
Not only have I given birth to 5 children, I also took care of my husband until the day he died. I'm now doing my duty for the human race.
My point exactly. We women have enough on our hands securing the continuance of the human race to worry about fuss and nonsense such as politics.
So you'd prefer that men made all the rules and we just accepted them?
There is no point in pursuing equality between men and women. We are less experienced than men, and on the whole, less intelligent.
Oh, march, march, swing you along, wide is the banner and hope is waking. Do you ever feel really cross about something?
Fran does, a lot.
I do. I often want to make myself heard.
Well, Fran, chaining yourself to railings would only get you into trouble.
Yeah.
Also, people would think you're quite weird.
Yeah, so here are top tips for getting your point across.
Speak to people. Find out if others feel the same way as you do. You'll be amazed how many people have strong opinions about loads of things.
Yeah, for example, I really like mice.
I do too. I love their little pink noses.
You see? You could also organise a petition, a list of names and signatures of people who agree with you.
Speak to someone in authority, like your favourite teacher, for example.
Oh, I know. Visit your local MP. Tell them how you reckon they should sort stuff out.
And why stop there? Get your point across by writing to the Prime Minister himself. We thought we'd take inspiration from Emmeline Pankhurst and organise our own protest.
Yeah, the thing is, we're not really sure what to organise our own protest about.
So we thought we'd get help from some of our friends. So have you got any ideas?
Yes! Okay guys, what do you reckon? What is in the world that annoys you? What would you ban if we could ban it?
Probably something about school homework.
What about it?
That we don't get it every day after school.
Yeah, especially in the holidays. That is just mean. Okay, what are other ideas, Aaron? What do you think?
To stop lumpy custard and cold custard at schools, because it's not very nice.
Does anyone like lumpy custard?
Personally, I think lumpy custard's quite nice.
I think I quite agree with that. So maybe we can't have a protest about lumpy custard if we don't all agree that we hate it.
Well, I think parents should not always have their idea of what they think we should do.
So we get to write the rules of how we live our life, not our parents.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ah, that's a very popular one.
Anybody else?
Well, I think that pigeons are quite annoying. I don't know, because...
But what would Trafalgar Square be without pigeons?
It would be clean.
Yeah, that is true.
Because all they do is poo and eat. They're not giving us any good, are they? They're like rats with wings.
Do you agree with that?
I do, because they just get in the way, really. I think if you have, like, a few, you can still have some fun with them, but if you have a few, that would be better than loads and loads and loads.
Alright, we've heard lots of ideas, but pigeon seems to be the favourite one. Does everyone agree? If you agree, put your hand up. Oh! There's always no, but it's good we like...
Victoria Louise, tell us why you don't agree with the pigeons.
Because they're nice for people to play with and everything.
But we could have fewer pigeons. We don't have to ban pigeons altogether.
Yeah, we just want fewer.
Would you agree with that, Victoria Louise?
Yeah, okay.
Hooray!
Okay, so like the suffragettes will be unanimous about it. We've got to be united in our cause, which means we need a motto.
Less pigeons, less poo.
Fewer pigeons.
Pigeons are pests.
Pigeons are pests. That's brilliant.
Pigeons waste space.
Pigeons waste
Pigeons waste space. I like that.
Some with pigeons up with
Sparrows.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah,
Because it needs... Yeah, it needs to be something we can chant. Okay, I think our top ones are pigeons are pests, or fewer pigeons, less poo.
Less pigeons, less poo.
I think those are top two. Which do we think? The one about the poo or the one about the pests?
I think pests.
Pests. So pigeons are pests. Yeah.
Okay, so should we go and make our slogans now? Because we haven't really got much time.
Get our cause going.
Get our cause, write petitions, do slogans, come on.
Profile of their cause was organised marches. In March 1912 there was one specially massive one that went from London to West End to here in Trafalgar Square.
It soon erupted in violence though. Picture the scene. Smartly dressed women producing hammers from their posh handbags and smashing shop windows in Regent Street, Bond Street and Oxford Street.
Thousands of pounds worth of damage, 219 women arrested. The thing was, the suffragettes were prepared to do anything and everything to get themselves heard.
Street lamps were broken, keyholes were stopped up with lead pellets. House numbers were painted out, cushions of railway carriages slashed. Old ladies applied for gun licenses to terrify the authorities. Telegraph and telephone wires were severed with long-handled clippers. There was a window-smashing raid in the West End. Empty houses and other unattended buildings were set on fire.
People were especially shocked because women at the time were supposed to behave like ladies, not like hooligans.
Emmeline herself went to prison a total of 12 times. She was famous for her trick of going on hunger strikes to try and force the authorities to let her go home.
Long was the grieving, black the darkness, by the silence.
Mrs. Pankhurst?
Oh, Doctor, how wonderful to see you.
I've been told that you haven't eaten again today.
That's right. They brought me a lovely roast chicken and potatoes, but I sent it straight back. I hope they gave it to the other prisoners like I asked.
How are you feeling, Mrs. Pankhurst?
Oh, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I've never felt...
I'll put it bluntly to you, Mrs. Pankhurst. You're showing the first signs of malnutrition and your pulse is nearly 100. You are 55 years old, and if you carry on starving yourself, you're in danger of...
Dying?
Dying, yes.
Dr. Craig, as I said to the Home Secretary, I'm not here to commit suicide. In fact, life is rather dear to me. As soon as I'm out of here, I plan to enter into the fight again.
But you know what will happen. They'll let you out for a week with a license, and then after a week, when you have regained your strength, you will be back in prison again.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, Doctor, but I'm suddenly feeling terribly tired. Tell the kitchens not to prepare any food for me tonight. I won't eat it.
All this showed just how committed to women's rights the suffragettes were. One even gave her life for the cause.
During the famous Derby horse race in 1913, a committed suffragette called Emily Davison climbed under the barriers and threw herself in front of the King's horse.
She was trampled on and later died from her injuries. These extreme tactics were getting the movement noticed, but they also made the public disapprove of the suffragettes.
But a year on and everything was about to change. The First World War broke out, and for the first time in British history, women were asked to get jobs. Between 1914 and 1918, about 2 million women replaced men in employment. Because all the men had disappeared off to fight, women became Britain's workforce.
They manned factories, shops and businesses. They harvested crops and cared for wounded soldiers.
About 80,000 of them served in the 3 British Women's Armed Forces. They didn't actually fight, did they? But they did loads of other important things instead.
So Ben, what we really want to know is, what was Emmeline Pankhurst really like? Would we want to be her friend?
Well, Emmeline was very clever. She had to bring up her brothers and sisters and read the papers aloud to her father, so she had this in-depth knowledge of politics from an early age, but wanted to be a part of it. And as she grew up, she got more involved in politics and realised that the way the world was, wars and things like that were caused by men, and if women could have a role, then they would stop this. She said the world was drenched in blood, and that was because of men. I think you would have liked her. She was incredibly well-dressed, elegant, but also a great speaker. So she was the perfect representative for women. They could look up to and see her as the heroine of the women's movement.
But with her so elegant and glamorous, isn't it quite surprising that she resorted to these very extreme measures?
Because she said that men would never listen. The government would never listen unless women were prepared to make their statement. They'd always promise and then back away. So women had to be seen to actually want this and to fight for it. She said deeds, not words.
Oh, I love that. Deeds, not words. Then why did some women disagree with her? Why did they not want the vote?
They thought that Emmeline was giving women a bad name and that women would never get the vote because they were just going to fight and squabble for it. But also many women believed that their place was in the home, that men should make these big decisions and they should not even have the vote.
And their place probably not being tied to railings.
Yeah, and smashing windows. But the war must have had quite an effect on that.
A big impact. For the first time, women were doing work that men could do, so they were seen that they could step into men's shoes and do their work. So if they could do that, why couldn't they vote?
What kind of work?
They were working in munitions factories, working as secretaries in government departments, and helping organise the war.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You
See
can
you
go back
soon.
to your book.
Thank you.
The First World War must have really made a difference to the way people saw women, don't you think?
Yeah, because people saw women in a different light.
Yeah.
Women had been there for Britain when they really needed them. So it's only fair that they had a say in how the country was run.
I think it also made a difference that in 1917 there was a change of Prime Minister from Asquith to Lloyd George, and Lloyd George was just much more into women's rights generally.
So maybe the suffragettes didn't get women the vote. Maybe the war would have done it anyway.
Yeah, I think suffragettes laid the groundwork though. Like it was probably a combination of the war, politics and all Emmeline Pankhurst's efforts.
Yeah. What is important is that it happened. And I can't believe it was less than 100 years ago.
Guys, we've got the sheet to make the big banner, we've got protest boards, paints, pens, all to make our protest against the pigeons.
What does this say?
Oh, I'm so jealous of that pigeon you've drawn, that is brilliant. My pigeon's rubbish. I'm going to copy your pigeon. So what, outline it like that?
Far away.
Ah, so like that. Yeah.
Does that look like a sparrow? Or a hen? Got pigeons are poo, down with pigeons, up with sparrows. You've got a lot of slogans, mottos going on here.
Yeah. Okay, so we've just realised that what we've actually written is pigeons are pets rather than pigeons are pests, which is what we meant to write. So what are we going to do to fix it?
No, I think just write a tiny S and a tiny S and just make it look a bit cool and arty.
Yeah, oh, I see. Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So we'll just put an S in there. Hey, look! I've got petitions and a megaphone. Hey, has everyone got their banners?
Yeah!
Now all we need to do is to persuade everyone else to join our cause. So you ready?
Yeah!
Pigeons are pets!
Pigeons are pets! Down with pigeons! Off with sparrows! Pigeons are pets!
Pigeons are pests!
They're a waste of space and they pigeons are pests!
I think this is not working. Like, we should just attack the pigeons and try to get them out ourselves by force.
Yeah, direct action!
There's some more!
Go on,
So we got in trouble down there for protesting.
We don't care, because we're like Emmeline Pankhurst.
Yeah.
Pigeons are pests! Pigeons are pests! Down with pigeons! Up with sparrows! Pigeons are pests! Pigeons are pests! They're a waste of space and they make a mess! Oh, I've been given a pest control card by this man.
That's handy. A proper way to get rid of the pigeons. Brilliant, you see, we're making progress.
Well done. Thank you for joining our cause.
All the pigeons have flown away to hide on top of the plinth. They're scared. They're very scared. How many signatures have we got on our petition?
Well, I've got 15.
Yeah.
I've got 11.
Well, I call that a success. What do you reckon?
Yay! Hang on, I feel a bit bad. I feel like there are fewer pigeons as if they heard us and are sulking and are quite upset.
Hey, maybe we need to have a protest to get the pigeons back.
In the Representation of the People Act of 1918, women over 30 got the right to vote.
10 years later, in 1928, all women over 21 got the right to vote. Finally, women were on an equal footing with men.
Yeah, but sadly though, Emmeline Pankhurst died 3 weeks before this happened.
It's because of people like Emmeline Pankhurst that women now have a real say in how the country's run. We've even got 128 female MPs.
But that's only 20% of the total.
Yeah.
There's still a long way to go.
I think I'd quite like to be an MP one day.
I can quite imagine you as an MP.
Would you vote for me?
Yeah, I would actually. Yeah, because you're quite sort of clever and organised and you look good in the suit, you care about the environment.
Yeah, thanks.
Would you vote for me?
No.
Okay, Emmeline Pankhurst, go!
Emmeline formed the suffragettes because she was bored of eating cucumber sandwiches and wearing corsets. They were nicknamed by the Daily Mail, but they liked it. They were hooligans, really, not ladies. They sang songs like March, March, swing you long, white rose banner, hope is ready, they smashed windows.